Doug Bowser literally arrived, raised hell, and then left. I mean, his name is Bowser after all. That's what Bowsers normally do. He walks in, takes the princess, and then leaves. Wait, he can't leave. Mario needs a villain. Because otherwise, this was Wario's plan all along. Now that I think about it, Doogie Bowser over here kind of does look like Stone Cold without any of the charisma. Hit the like button. Let's go. My voice is still screwed. In my last video, I said I sounded like Kermit, but really I sound more like Yoda. Close we are to 90k. Subscribe, baby, now. The fact that most people cannot even tell you one thing Doug Bowser has done should tell you all you need to know. I mean, this guy went as quietly as he was around. Oh, wait, hold on a second. You can hear him stepping on rakes constantly. Now, Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser steps down. Oh, is this the point in, like, Return of the Jedi? At the end, when everybody starts celebrating, I guess his body was never ready. Oh, no, it clearly wasn't. Look, Doug Bowser is no longer at Nintendo, and he's being replaced by Gabe Newell. Yes, indeed, it's time to make Nintendo great again. I'm only kidding. We can only dream of that scenario. But I think it's ironic how a man called Bowser turned out to be the true villain. But now that he's gone, you're not going to see Retro Studios give him a farewell presentation to Doug Bowser like they did for Reggie. Because Reggie is the only CEO with enough aura and charisma to justify a literal farewell video. I mean, now that I've mentioned it, have you noticed we don't really have a face of Nintendo anymore? Reggie was the face of Nintendo America for a very long time. And this might be low-key one of the bigger issues at current Nintendo. Because think about it, homie. Nintendo is really missing a face and personality with their audience. When we had Reggie and Iwata, we never had that problem because they were such a good team. And because we have these Nintendo executives who don't really appear in Nintendo Directs anymore, along with no in-person events like E3, they seem way too far away. And thus the public persona of Nintendo just seems so soulless. It's like they're just there to throw breadcrumbs at you from a million miles away. See, the way I look at it is like this. The Nintendo president of America is there to build rapport and good PR with the fans and the potential consumers. And that's the problem with Mr. Dougie Bowser. He didn't do that. Matter of fact, he was the opposite. Because he essentially pulled a Don Matrick prior to the Switch 2 launch by telling people to stick with the old hardware if they can't afford Switch 2. Yeah, that was a really brain dead move, Bowser. See, every time you would see him, it would never go over well with the gamers. He caught a ton of heat for that, and fortunately for the rest of us, that is what everybody will remember him for. And then you add in the fact that he was a former president at EA. He never really stood a chance, especially compared to Reggie. This geezer had no balls. I mean, his head looks like a bull, but he had no balls to stand up for the consumer, and that's something the Nintendo of Japan do not respect. You compare that to somebody like Reggie. Reggie is the reason Wii Sports was a pack-in game for the Wii, or why Wii Sports Resort came with a Wii Motion Plus controller. These are things the Nintendo of Japan was super against, and they respected Reggie's actions for fighting for the consumer, and that helped propel make the Wii a huge success in the United States of America. Whether you like Reggie or not, he fought for what he thought was right for the American market, something Doug Bowser will never ever do in his life. See, the thing is, Dougie Bowser could have made an attempt to be somewhat likable. Instead, he's somewhat worse than Bowser in-game. I mean, wow, how do you do that? I mean, someone might ask, isn't it mainly the executives from Japan that makes all of these controversial decisions from Nintendo? And to be honest, that's a really fair question. On one hand, you could say that he's the president of Nintendo America, and it is he who decides the price hikes in America. For example, the pricing of the Switch 2 in North America. After all, at least in his own words that came out of his own mouth, he was defending it as if he was the one that perpetrated it. Or you could believe that Nintendo of America does literally nothing of any importance whatsoever. They pretty much just distribute and advertise Nintendo products in the Americas, and that's all. Whichever one you believe, Doug Bowser has to go, because either he's incompetent or he's a lapdog. I mean, we got layoffs under Doug Bowser, insanely bad PR and marketing, along with the price hikes and game keycards that nobody other than the creepy Nintendo fanboys were fine with. I mean, like I said, these are Don Matrick levels of bad. See, Doug Bowser validating the price increase was so antagonistic to gamers that it was very annoying and very anti-consumer, which means the blame lies also go with him. Because if Nintendo Japan said jump and Nintendo of America says how high, then we all know Japan is the boss. But during the Reggie era, it felt like he had some kind of power and influence. It's almost like the Nintendo of Japan respected Reggie for fighting for the Americas. It's almost like Reggie wanted everybody to own a Nintendo console. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, I don't think a single person is responsible for everything good or bad to happen to Nintendo. And whoever replaces him, I hope at least tries to reverse all the nonsense Bowser has made. All the crap and nonsense that's been happening for the past few years, and not just blindly following what the Nintendo Japanese executives tell them to. Anyway, Nintendo of America President and Chief Operating Officer Doug Bowser will retire on December 31st. After more than a decade at the company, wow, he wasted a decade of his life. He will be succeeded by Devin Pritchard, a nearly 20-year veteran of the video game industry and a long-time Nintendo executive. Most recently, Pritchard served as an executive vice president of revenue, marketing and consumer experience at Nintendo of America, overseeing many aspects of the Switch 2 launch this spring. Pritchard will also join the Nintendo of America board of directors and become an executive officer at the Japan-based parent company Nintendo. Devin, the intellectual property lawyer Pritchard, has entered the chat. Ah yes, the person responsible for every IP-related lawsuit Nintendo has filed in the last decade is taking over. See, my biggest fear is whether the new CEO will be worse than Doug Bowser himself. But at the end of the day, I'm glad Dougie is gone so the company can actually heal. The thing is, Iwata saved Nintendo from going the way of Sega. And then Reggie was the last person to hold that baton and then translate that same passion over to America. I seriously doubt that Nintendo is going to replace Bowser with another person like Reggie. They're just going to replace him with another marketing executive just like they did to Iwata. Additionally, Satoru Shibata will join Nintendo of America as a CEO, while continuing his roles as a managing executive officer and corporate director and member of the board at Nintendo. Now this might actually be good news because Shibata used to be the president of Nintendo of Europe from 2000 to 2018. Europe had way better prices and special editions than the US during this time. It sadly returned to normal when the Switch came out for the most part, but this guy did a lot for the EU market. This Shibata guy is already in his 60s. He'll be a good last part to his career before he retires if he does right by the consumers. I mean, at least he seems more personable than Bowser. On a side note, a Final Fantasy Remake director pleads with the fans to accept controversial Switch 2 game keycards. No, you can screw off. Game keycards will never be accepted, you moron. I tell you right now, I don't trust any developer who talks positively about game keycards. Naoki Hamaguchi, director of Final Fantasy Remake series, has weighed in on game keycards for the Switch 2. Yes, I've heard the reactions of various Nintendo players to game keycards. I can certainly understand their perspective. I can understand what might bother them. They might not like it, but I really do. But among developers, the discussion about format might be a little different than what the fans expect. You know what's funny? Every time I hear these developers talk about the game keycard, you can just feel the red laser on third-party developers' foreheads, with Nintendo holding the hammer, making sure they appease God Nintendo. Literally any developer talking about the game keycards in this way is just lying. Because really, why not just sell digital at that point instead of this garbage game keycard thing? Otherwise, stop trying to push this e-waste that nobody wants. And on that bombshell, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be paying close attention. Manix out.